Mac and Mac on Birds 365 after one of the more devastating Eagle losses. Not just this year, in a couple of years. That's my opinion. We're going to get another opinion from Paul Domowitch, who's got a colorful shirt on today. He almost always does. And he needs a shave. Are you not going to shave in 2024? You're going to look more like me by the time we get to the draft in April, Domowitch? What are you going for there?
It's his playoff beard. He's getting ready.
That's right.
Ready. Happy New Year, Tomo. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you guys. Yeah, I'm not going to shave until they win another game.
Oh, man, you could be looking like me. Yeah, September is a long way off, Domo. You better be careful with that statement. That's funny. Good on you. All right, here's where I want to start. Did Fletcher Cox play yesterday? I didn't notice him. Was he there? Did I just miss him on my TV yesterday?
They were on the field for so much, the defense. It was another.
How did I miss Fletcher?
76 snaps defensively, Damo, versus 49 offensively. Well, there have been too many of those games. What is going on? Where do you look at this loss? Where do you start? Because it could be offense, it could be defense, it could be coaching. It could be all. It's obviously all, but boy, that's as ugly as it gets. I still don't know the Cardinals punter. I never looked it up. I never needed to look it up. I don't need. They didn't punt.
Nope.
The Arizona Cardinals didn't punt. It's amazing to me.
I mean, I think you've got to pin the blame, a good chunk of the blame, and start with the defense. I mean, they were just horrible yesterday against a team that Arizona took a page out of the Washington Commanders playbook from last season when they just kept the ball away from the Eagles and ran it, I think, 40 times in that game. Yesterday, Arizona had something like 32 first downs. They couldn't do anything, and they couldn't stop the pass. I mean, Kyler Murray only had 6 incompletions. Their linebackers were just horrendous. Anybody that's ever wondered why Shaq Leonard got cut yesterday was kind of an advertisement for that. I mean, you missed tackles, wrong gaps, tries to strip a ball on a player who's going into the end zone when try tackling them first before you force a fumble. The Kelly Ringo, it was just a mess, and it's the job in front of Howie Roseman during the offseason is monumental in trying to do something with that defense, because there's just so many places they need help, and they've only got so many resources. So that's where you could look at the play calling on the last drive and all the other stuff, but the defense just is horrible.
All right, and you're kind of dipping your toe into the future, which we try and avoid doing because they got a game to go to finish the season and then a playoff. But you're right; it's staring you right in the face that there's not only issues tomorrow, but going forward with this team as well. And 2 of them are right in the middle of the defensive line, and they're ex-Dogs, and they're guys that have gotten a lot of love in this town. That one has got 14 games under his belt in the National Football League, and the other's got a year and 14 games under his belt in the National Football League. And they've had, just for their own personal evaluation, with Davis having an extra year, as many mediocre days as they've had good days. They used first-round draft picks on both of them, and yesterday, kind of like Fletcher Cox, you didn't recognize them. If they're on the field, they didn't make any plays. There was the only sack of the game was a whiff by their star defensive tackle who missed the quarterback, and Murray just happened to fall down. I still don't know what the hell happened on that play, but that was their only sack. And if you want to give them credit for, okay, fine. Should we be nervous about the 2 defensive Georgia tackles who have disappeared here in the last month and a half, Damo?
Absolutely. I mean, the one that concerns me the most, I'm not going to give Jalen Carter a mulligan because, they expected him to be an impact player as a rookie. But let's just say he's hit some sort of wall here. But Jordan Davis is in his second year. He's gone from a guy you thought was an athletic freak to just another fat guy who can't stop the run and move. You know, I mean, I don't even know if he was on the field on that last drive yesterday. I haven't seen I haven't looked at the tape yet. But I mean, you know, a guy who's an all-world run stuffer, presumably. And you know, in a game like that, he's playing 40 snaps, 53% of the snaps. I know he got hurt at one point, but it looked like he was okay. So I don't know what the circumstances were as far as whether they didn't feel he could go back in or what. But yeah. I mean, that strategy of drafting, Georgia dogs is looking like a real dog.
I will say this. Jody's heard me say this a bunch of times. Maybe you have as well, Damo. Nobody in this league today cares about the run game until it's time to care about the run game. Now we're there. It's that time of year where you got to care about it. And they got gashed to almost, you know, they're used to be the team that runs for 200 yards, not giving it up. However, I'll play devil's advocate. Not too up. That Trey McBride is a good player, and he's a old school wide tight end. He's like an inline guy. He's like more of a Dallas Goedert guy. He can do both. He can catch the football. He can block as well. Not a lot of guys like him around the NFL. And then James Conner is a big, and Matt Patricia, to his credit, brought him up during the week. He's like, this guy's physical, big, bruising. Not a lot of teams bring that to the table. As weird as, you know, Arizona doesn't have a great roster and all that kind of stuff. But you're not going to see that week in and week out with a big wide tight end helping a big punishing back. Is it just a styles make bites type of thing? And they got caught by a big roundhouse right by a team that has what they struggle with?
No, because, you know, I wrote this two weeks ago for JAKIB Sports, John. You know, I wrote back then that, you know, guess what? There's one other thing this team can't do, and that's stop the run.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been coming ever since teams started doing it more because they realized they could run on this team. So I'm not going to attribute this one effort to the fact that they had a good blocking tight end. They just can't, you know, I mean, their linebackers yesterday were about as horrendous as I've ever seen Nick Morrow and Shaq Leonard play in their careers. You know, the missed tackles, but I haven't seen the totals yet on missed tackles, but it's going to be extremely
those young guys, man. They just miss tackles. Nobody can tackle coming into this league. It's absurd.
I mean, Reed Blankenship, who I thought was going to be, I mean, that's the one thing I expected from him was sure tackling. Now tackles everybody around the waist. Tries to swing them down. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, none of them can tackle. A lot of this goes back to the fact that, you know, nobody tackles anymore in off season and training camp, but every team's going through that. And other teams aren't having this kind of bad effort with their tackling. So, but it's ugly to watch. I mean, what can you say?
And John, to answer your question, Dom answered, I'll answer it too. James Conner's been on the team all year. He's been on their team for a couple of years. Yeah. The defensive coordinator went out of his way to know James Conner, so all of the Eagle defensive players knew James Conner was going to play on Sunday. Trey McBride's been there all year. It isn't like, oh, my God, this guy fell from heaven, and he's a multifaceted tight end. He's been on their team all year. He's on all the film they watched, prepping for the game, and they let him go out and do what they did. I'm cutting them no slack whatsoever because, that's just what the Eagles don't do well. Well, you're supposed to. This stage in the season, you're supposed to be able to stop a team that's 27th in the NFL on offense by just going out there, and playing your defense. All right, I want to go to the other side of the ball because we all know the defense stunk, and that's the main reason that they lost the game yesterday. Devontae Smith may have a significant injury. Nobody knows. In a walking boot, on crutches at the end of the game yesterday. They're screwed.
Yeah.
The return of Quez? What the hell's going to happen if Devontae Smith can't go this upcoming Sunday and in the playoffs, Damo?
Greg Ward.
Greg, we're exciting. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah.
Might be the best. No, I'm not gonna say the best thing that ever happened to them, but you know, it's especially, you know, if he can't play and your other wide receiver is in a funk over coaching, whatever the hell is bothering him these days, you know, they got, I mean, come on, let's face it, this is going to be a one and done team. So I think everybody, including every fan, that the most devoted Eagles fan, has accepted the fact that, you know, they're going to probably go down to Tampa or go down to New Orleans and lose and go home, and everybody's going to start looking at how the Sixers are doing.
Oh, ooh. All right. If that happens, Tomo, one and done, you know the drill. There's going to be scapegoating. Jeffrey's going to demand it. I don't think it's going to be Nick Sirianni. I don't think he's going to touch the offensive staff that much. Defensively, though, he might gut that thing. And we've seen it with Doug Peterson in the past. Doug grew close to certain coaches, and ultimately it created a rift with the organization. Can you see the Eagles going down that same path?
Well, here's the thing, though. You know, Sean Desai was the perfect hire for them. He was endorsed by Howie and Jeff. He was Vic Fangio. He was a young Vic Fangio who spent half the last season here, you know, as an advisor, and he brought that defense here. And now, you know, then suddenly it doesn't work.
By the way, Vic's giving up 56 stinking points. Stop talking about Vic Fangio, Eagles fans. Not you, Tomo. Continue.
Excuse me, I got a bad cough. But yeah, I mean, you know, so they had the defense they wanted. Then it doesn't work. Then Nick's got to do something, and Howie's panicking, and suddenly they're making Desai the scapegoat and promoting Patricia, who I've got no use for. I mean, I just, you know, I know he's a decent coach, but this isn't the place or the time for him. So they're gonna have to find somebody completely new next year. I don't know who it's going to be. They'll find another hot guy that they can plug in, and it'll probably be a guy that blitzes a lot, because obviously they haven't had a lot of luck this year.
Eagles fans will love that. They'll love it. They'll love it. Maybe you get that young Wink Martindale. He seems to be button heads with Brian Daboll. Maybe they can get Wink come down the turnpike. Yeah, that'll turn things around.
Yeah, but there is going to be turnover. I mean, I don't know who on that defensive staff is going to survive. My guess is not many, not very few. So,
all right. So here is a question. If I were in the Eagle locker room, I would be putting to several individuals, individually, but also as a group, if you wanted to bring them together. The leaders of this team. It's got to be Nick Sirianni as the head coach. Jalen Hurts is supposed to be a leader. Jason Kelsey's supposed to be a leader. On the defensive side, it's Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, the veteran guys, the Super Bowl winners. That looked like a rudderless ship for me yesterday out at Lincoln Financial Field. Lacking leadership of those five that I mentioned. You want to put Lane Johnson in there too. I think Lane's a more quiet leader, but I don't want to disrespect him and not call him a leader. But my five are my five. You have faith in any of them stepping up and being able to get through to the rest of the team? And if this team just needs a wake-up call or needs to get something focused in their own mind, you got faith in any of those five being able to pull that off and get this team righted and at least give them a chance come playoff time?
You know, they're all terrific leaders, but I mean, in my mind, this is a team in free fall, Jody. I don't think the greatest leader, I don't think Abraham Lincoln could come in here and unite this team right now. Especially, I mean, you know, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm in disbelief over what I'm seeing with the wide receiver. I mean, you know, you can't act this way. I mean, this is why he's not in Tennessee. This is why he probably won't be here if they can find another market for him after this season. You just, geez, you know, I mean, if you need to get in somebody's face, somebody needs to get in his face and tell him to wise up. But that's not going to happen. I mean, you know, AJ is who he is, and he's upset over, you know, I guess the play calling. You know, so Yeah, like I said, this is just a team in free fall right now, and I don't think anything can save them or anyone.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the honesty there, Damo. I don't think Eagle
I
fans will
think
like to hear it, but I
I
appreciate it.
I think Abe Lincoln would finish behind Nick Sirianni in a list of best leaders. So I'm not gonna. I can't give up the. Now, obviously, I'm joking, but I do think. Look, maybe I'm too. It's strange when I'm optimistic, but boy, I think they could win one playoff game. I don't think they can win two, but that's because of the competition. I think they can go into Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and win a game there. Slay's going to be back. He's not going to be back this week because they're not going to put him on that MetLife field. But Zach Cunningham was close this week. He'll probably be back against the Giants. It's not a cure-all. This defense stinks, but they'll be a little less stinky when they get some of these guys back. Is that enough to get them one playoff win?
You know, the season that this looks like in a lot of ways is 2018. And we remember how that one went. You know, they went on the double doink against Chicago, and then they're eliminated by New Orleans. So, yeah, I guess something like that can happen. I mean, playing Tampa Bay or New Orleans, both of those teams are bad. So, but you know, when you see what happened yesterday, you wonder.
They could lose to anybody. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, yeah, that part of it is true. I mean, that's probably the worst roster in the NFL. Maybe Carolina can make an argument, but it's probably the worst roster in the NFL.
They gave up 29 points in the second half to that team.
In the second half, there were 7 possessions, Damo, of 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and the Sidney Brown pick 6, which would have been a scoring drive. The receiver ran the wrong route. Even if he didn't catch the ball, if he ran the right route, probably turns into a field goal. It was so bad. I've never seen. I don't even know what they were trying to accomplish defensively. Yeah. Usually you figure out, all right, what are they trying to do? I don't know. It truly was a pathetic defensive game plan. Is it just that they thought they would roll over? I was surprised Jonathan Gannon wasn't sacrificed at midfield pregame. Did they just think they were going to roll over this team because the fan base was going to be that rabid in their hatred for the former defensive coordinator? Why do you think they came out with no juice?
You know, I think they just thought they were that much better than Arizona, that all they had to do is, follow the game plan and do what they're, I mean, Jalen had a hell of a game. You look at his numbers, 3 touchdown passes. But, they should have known something was going to go wrong when they actually got stopped on a tush push for just the 3rd time this season. It just, I mean, I don't think even they are willing to comprehend yet how bad this defense is and has been. I mean, it can't stop anyone. And maybe, maybe you're right. Maybe getting Zach Cunningham, I don't see Zach Cunningham as a savior. I don't see Darius Slay as a savior. I mean, maybe they patch it up enough. I mean, maybe Darius Slay doesn't get suckered on an inside route like Kelly Ringo did yesterday on that 5-yard touchdown pass that he gave up, which, there used to be a time when people went right directly to the waiver wire when they give up stupid touchdowns like that. But he'll be starting next week.
Yeah. Yikes. Wow. Somebody's got to start.
I got bad news for you. Reggie White's not coming through that door this week for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not happening. All right, Damo, for JAKIBSports.com, you do Eagles stuff, but for 3013, you cover the league in total. So I want your opinion on this because you mentioned A.J. Brown earlier, and John said earlier in the show he thinks A.J.'s having a tough time with social media, that there are people that are pointing out A.J. being a baby, and he's not dealing with it well. I would say more shame on AJ than anything else. You just get off the phone. Just put it down. Don't pick it up. Don't listen to it. Don't let it affect you. I know it can be difficult for some people, but that's kind of what they're paying you $10 million for, is to be able to get past that.
25 million.
Yeah, it's good. 10 plus 10, tens of millions is what I meant to say. I got just crushed yesterday on social media because of something I said on CBS Sports Radio. The Lions Cowboys play, the 2-point conversion that disappeared because of a penalty. I put 98% of the blame on the referee who misidentified the player who came in and reported to be an eligible receiver.
Brad Allen, by the way.
Yeah, Brad Allen, just god awful.
That's Phil Luckett territory, Damo.
But I did not put 100% of the blame on him. I put 2% of the blame on the Lions because I thought they tried to get cute.
Well, they
try
did.
and fake the Dallas Cowboys as to who is going to be the eligible receiver by having 3 offensive linemen out of the huddle over near the referee, and they were trying to dupe the Dallas Cowboys. They duped the dope ref, and shame on the ref for that. But I pointed out that I thought that they just
by the way,
too cool for school.
Let me interject here, Jody. I give them 25% blame. So if you got killed for that, that's wrong.
I got killed for 2%.
He got
great line. What are you talking about? The ref screwed us. We got screwed. Oh, I got crushed yesterday on social media.
Ben Johnson got too cute. I believe that as well, Damo. Your thoughts? Yeah, you huddle. And by the way, Skipper's the one who kept coming in and during the game as an eligible receiver. So dope Brad Allen, as Jody correctly points out, well, it's got to be Skipper again. Yeah. I mean, it's yes, the majority is far on the official, but yeah, he tried to get too cute. I agree 100%. You?
Yeah, I agree. Because at this point, I mean, we've seen enough inexcusable calls by the officials to realize you can't count on them for anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, the offensive offsides that have been called on the Eagles on some of those tush pushes because they mistook, Jason Kelsey's arm for Landon Dickerson's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you pretty much got to you just got to take the approach that you're dealing with stupid here. Ooh. and take it, take that approach.
Yeah, I'm the 2%. You're being nice, Jody. Nice.
No, I got crushed by the Detroit faithful, and the other ones I got crushed by and I did a show on WIP on Saturday. Ruben Frank, go Birds. I actually said the whole "you got to root for the Cowboys" thing was a mistake. I said no, I'm gonna kind of root for the Lions because I'm not sure the Eagles are winning their last 2 games. I'd like to see the Cowboys take another L. I'd rather see them lose a home game. So the whole let's root for the Cowboys against our human nature turned out to be exactly right. No, you needed the Cowboys to lose that game. Didn't you want to see the 19 straight years of the divisional winner go by the board, Damo? That was the #1 priority for me this weekend. How about you?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like that, actually. I mean, that's crazy. That's a crazy stat that it's been that long. Yeah. No back-to-back. That's a hell of a that defines parity. That's what this league is about. Now, the Chiefs won, I think, their 9th straight division title. That's no fun. That's no fun. I like it. I like a little upheaval. I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Unless you're a Chiefs fan. All right, Damo. We'll get you back on again on Friday. We'll be looking forward to the stat pack. A dual weekly appearance for Paul Domowitch. He will not be shaved. We'll see. Yeah, that gives you reason to tune in on Friday.
I think he was joking.
Damo's a man of his word, and he's almost full-blown beard by the time
he's going to be Tom Hanks in Castaway by September. Yeah, he's. I think he was joking. I think he's shaving as soon as he gets off with us.
I think Mrs. Domowitch may have a say in this one. Kind of like who's going to decide about the Eagles' defensive staff, Nick Sirianni or Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman. There's Damo, and then there's Mrs. Domowitch. So we'll see if he's got a beard next week. Damo, thanks, brother. Always a pleasure. Happy New Year, Bill.
You too, guys.
Thanks, Damo.
Check him out at JAKIBsports.com. Yes, his partner. You go back. I do this every once in a while. Do you do this? Go back and check something out after the fact. You have to do it. It's your job when you're writing. You have to at least part
Oh,
of
yeah.
your opinion has got to make its way into what you're doing as to what is going to happen in the future. Do you do that for yourself or anybody else? Go back after the fact and go, wow, that was great. Wow, that was right. Holy mackerel, was he wrong about that? Do you ever
Oh,
go back and
sure. I
yeah,
cringe at some of the things, I always, yesterday I was talking to JG, and I called James Conner John for some reason, and I cringe about that. And I'm like, Jesus, what am I doing? Because I was talking to John Gannon. I had John in my head. And so even that little mistake bothers me. So, yeah, I always do that. Yeah.
yeah. And you can go back and check Damo's stat pack from this past week. Let's see. I'm guessing he was wrong. I remember reading it on Friday. I haven't looked at it today. I know I was wrong. John was wrong. We all thought the Eagles going to win this week. Not the case after coming up with a very small effort against the Arizona Cardinals. So what does it mean for the rest of this year, into the playoffs, into next year? Well, that's why you listen to Birds 365. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on the show for you on this New Year's Day edition of Birds 365.